will come from lane 6, Rochelle Stevens from Morgan State. Lane 7, Sonia Friday from Virginia.
And Lily looks good coming out of the blocks there. She told me earlier that her success in the 200 meters has really given her a lot more confidence going into this event. The first half of her 400 meters isn't normally her strong suit. Remember, this race is run in the lanes for the entire lap.
Leatherwood King in lane number 5 appears to be in command. She is the favorite in the race, as we said. Rochelle Stevens, Sonia Friday in lane 6 and 7. Running right with her, but now Leatherwood King starting to break it open here as they head down the home stretch. Lily Leatherwood King, Rochelle Stevens behind her, and Denise Mitchell from Florida running third, but it's Leatherwood King. The Alabama senior will romp to victory here, defending her 400-meter dash title.
And what a great performance by Lily in the 400 meters. Really not unexpected. Lily was the class of the field, but she showed us that she could put together a total race, having combined a very strong first 200 meters, normally the weakest part of her event, and bringing it home in the final 200 meters with a strong finish, as she normally does.
Her winning time, 50.90, and that is an NCAA championship meet record for Lily Leatherwood King. Leatherwood King with Rochelle Stevens of Morgan State second and Denise Mitchell of Florida third. In the Olympic Games in 1968. And there's the man with that record very much in his sights, Butch Reynolds of Ohio State. He'll be in lane 5, and his primary competition will be adjacent to him from Arkansas, Roddy Haley in lane 4, 5'10" junior. And in lane number 6, UCLA sophomore Danny Everett, and there's a lot at stake for Danny in this race, not just his own individual placing, but the chance that he has to clinch the team title for UCLA.
There's John Smith, the assistant coach at UCLA. He won 2 NCAA titles in this event. And Reynolds, this is the race everyone wants to see him run. He says he's sure he can run faster than that time he's already run. He says, just bring me the competition.
There are the lane assignments, and Danny Everett, as we mentioned, the opportunity here with UCLA having a commanding lead at this point in the meet. If he can place well here, the Bruins can clinch.
What we're looking for is for Haley to go out quickly and Reynolds to finish strongly, but it looks like Reynolds is the one with a good start here.
9 runners in the field. Butch Reynolds in lane number 5 in the all-red. Danny Everett of UCLA is on his right in the familiar light blue jersey.
And Everett's made up the distance to the runner ahead of him, but look at the long strides of Butch Reynolds. A lot of people compare him in stature to Alberto Juantorena, the great Cuban who won the 1976 Olympics. He's got the long strides, and he's stepping out of his lane a bit there, Tim.
That could be a problem for him. He must stay in your lane all the way. Look at this battle. Reynolds and Roddy Haley. Haley beat him earlier this year in the indoor championship.
But look at Reynolds pull away here. You rarely see this in a 400-meter race. What a sprint over the last 50 meters. Everett gets second.
Butch Reynolds of Ohio State, 44.13. And Danny Everett getting second place, has clinched the men's team title for the UCLA Bruins.
His coach John Smith is happy. This is the event he won twice back in the 70s. And Butch Reynolds, he's for real, Tim. A lot of people said that maybe he wasn't after that fast time he ran earlier in the season.
Well, let's see if he has a problem here now, running out of the lane, stepping on the line. Back on the replay, Craig, what happened?
As he goes around the last turn, you can see he's such a big guy, he probably has a little trouble staying in his lane when he really gets moving. And as he comes around the turn, he's all over the line. And at a certain point, you can see he clearly steps out of his lane, which, according to the rules, can lead to disqualification. Now, it's a call by the referee. Did he gain an advantage by doing that? Even if it's unintentional, he can be disqualified. Obviously, the officials decided he didn't gain an advantage. And you can see he didn't need that extra step that he might have gained by that, because when it came to the last 50 meters, he shows something that you only rarely see in the 400 meters, the ability to burst away from the others. The 2 guys he leaves behind are among the best in the world in this event. He leaves them in the dust. Clearly the guy who can break that long-standing world record.
Butch Reynolds and Danny Everett getting second has made 78. Bob Larson, in his 3rd year as head coach, certainly pleased with that result. Danny Everett getting second, producing the team championship, and Butch Reynolds, the individual champion at 400. Lee McRae, still to be decided. The men's crown has been won by UCLA. Some of the individual champions who contributed to the Bruins' victory: Kevin Young in the 400-meter hurdles.
Young was second a year ago, and he's still perfecting what is one of track's most technical events. But here, he won an easy victory.
Certainly one of the most interesting stories out of these championships, the decathlon winner, Jim Connolly. He is the son of Harold and Olga Connolly, both gold medal winners in the 1956 Olympics. What a thrilling victory for him. In the discus, from Abilene Christian, the winner was Clifford Felkins with a toss of 200 feet 1 inch. The 3,000-meter steeplechase event won by Dan Nelson of Oregon.
The weather played a role as no one wanted to take the lead on a hot, muggy day. Nelson stepped off the track but sprinted to victory in the home straight. Mark Junkerman, only fourth in the Pac-10 championships, finished strongly to get UCLA all-important team points.
And the 4x100-meter relay was won by TCU.
Last year, Texas A&M's all-freshman team finished second to TCU. They vowed revenge, but it wasn't to be. Smooth handoffs gave TCU a slight edge as they came off the turn, and TCU's Jamaican Olympian, Raymond Stewart, held off the injured Stanley Kerr.
In the 10,000-meter run, Joel Falcon of Arkansas, just a sophomore, was the favorite and won impressively with a time of 29:10.66. Seton Hall's Tracy Baskin won the 800-meter run.
In a very evenly matched race, Baskin measured out his effort, timing his finish just right with a silky smooth stride to the finish.
In the pole vault, it was Doug Fraley of Fresno State with a height of 18 feet 5.5 inches.
Last year, Fraley was the favorite this event. He only finished third. This year, he gets the outdoor victory to add to his 2 indoor NCAA crowns.
In the long jump, the winner was Paul Immorti from Texas Southern, 27 feet 1 inch.
Immorti's from Nigeria and finished second in the World Indoor Championships. Here he turns back a strong field.
The javelin title went to the Swede from the University of Texas, Dag Venlund, 252 feet 10 inches. In the 200-meter dash, favored Floyd Hurd of Texas A&M was a winner.
His compact form makes him a great turn runner. Here he pulls away in the stretch. Number 1 in the world last year, he's even stronger this year.
We'll be seeing him coming up in the 100-meter dash against Lee McRae of Pittsburgh. The women's team title is still at stake. Some of the individual winners to this point in the 800-meter run, Julie Jenkins from Brigham Young.
Debbie Grant of Villanova led early, but Jenkins and Alyssa Harvey go by her in the home stretch. It's Jenkins' superior strength that gives her the victory.
Julie Jenkins of BYU. In the 400-meter hurdle event, Lynetta Wilson of Nebraska scored an upset.
Watch Wilson at the bottom of your screen as she sweeps by the favorites, Mimi King of Texas and Shawanda Williams of LSU. What a finish.
In the shot put event, Regina Kavanaugh of Rice was the winner.
The NCAA record holder made history by becoming the first Division I woman to win her event in 3 consecutive years.
The 3,000-meter run went to sophomore Vicki Huber of Villanova with a time of 8:54.41. And the 4x100-meter relay was won by Florida State.
It was Michelle Finn that got the victory for the Seminoles, but in an all-important team race, it was LSU's Danielle Wofford that held off Pauline Davis of Alabama.
Well, the team battle continues between LSU and Alabama with Sheila Eccles of the Tigers of LSU winning the long jump, a meet record of 22.9. And in the javelin throw, yet another LSU Tiger, Laverne Eve, was the winner, 182 feet 5 inches. And so the Tigers lead Alabama by just 3 points at this meter run. And they'll start on the back stretch here. It'll be 3 3/4 laps around this beautiful track at Bernie Moore Stadium in LSU. We'll look at the field. Alyssa Harvey of Tennessee as the defending champion. Julie Jenkins of BYU, a contender, but both of those young ladies have run in the 800.
And Tim, a large field here, 12 women jockeying for position. It's important for them to get into a comfortable space so they have enough room to run. Debbie Grant in the early lead. Oops, looks like there's a little bobbling there. Elisa Harvey right there on the inside.
And you see back in the middle of the pack, Evelyn Adira in the all-red from Alabama, trying to get some badly needed points in Alabama's pursuit of the team title. But she is also a tired runner, as you mentioned. She's already been in the 800. We'll see how she does this hot, muggy late afternoon in Baton Rouge.
And Angela Chalmers here making a move into first place. Angela has already finished in the 3,000 meters, placing 5th.
3 laps to go.
She will be tired, as will several of the other women who have doubled, as you mentioned. Evelyn Adiru has also run in the 800 meters. Julie Jenkins won the 800 meters earlier, and Elisa Harvey, the defending champion in this event, was second in the 800 meters.
52.5.
Chalmers on the lead. Alyssa Harvey and Julie Jenkins
1:08.1.
right behind her as the field's still well bunched.
And their first lap split was a 68, a very fine first lap. That puts them right on pace for the 4:10 that Susie Favor is hoping to run.
Susie Favor already has a 4:10.93 fastest time for an American this year. She's a 3-time national junior champion while in high school. And Joanne, this year she's already won the indoor NCAA championships.
That's right, and you have to remember that she has something of an advantage here over this field. She is fresh. She had the choice to double in the 800 and the 1500, but chose not to double and instead to save all of her strength for this one event.
And here comes Favor now, moving into second place. Chalmers of Northern Arizona still on the lead. Jenkins and Harvey go right with Favor.
Notice Evelyn Adiru in the all red from Alabama. She's back in the middle of the pack. She ought to be thinking right now about making a move to go with those women as they pick up the pace.
Adiru was runner-up in last year's event, and with the team standings very much in her mind, can she make the move here? Remember, as we mentioned, she was 4th in the 800 meters in this competition already run, so she may not have the legs to make a serious move here. Chalmers continues to hold the lead.
And Tim, they came through the 800 meters at 2:18, really a fairly slow 800 meters.
So Chalmers with Susie Favor and Alyssa Harvey running 3rd.
And as the pace has slowed, this is really going to become more of a tactical race. Remember, Elisa Harvey running in 3rd place right now, the defending champion in this event, sat right behind the leaders last year and kicked the final 200 meters. It was really a sprint, but that's the way she prefers to race. The 2 women leading her now, Susie Favor and Angela Chalmers, have to be worried about that finishing kick of Elisa Harvey.
Well, now Susie Favor has taken the lead, and Harvey goes right with her. Meanwhile, look back in the pack. Evelyn Adiru in the all red of Alabama, trying to score some points. Doesn't look like she can catch the leaders. 8 places will score, 10 to the first place winner and 1 for 8th place. And Joanna, looks like Susie Favor is taking it out here, increasing the pace again.
And really an intelligent move by this freshman from Wisconsin. She knows that Elisa Harvey has a strong final 200 meters. If she's going to win this race, she has to tire Elisa out now. They went through the 3rd lap in 65 seconds, a very fast pace, and they have to really be hurting this final 200 meters.
Under 200 meters to go, and it's Susie Favor on the lead, and Harvey sticking right with her. Chalmers fading some in 3rd. The freshman from Wisconsin pouring it on down the home stretch. The defending champion riding right with her. Favor and Harvey heading to the wire. Only a few meters to go. What a finish. Favor still on the lead as they come to the wire, and Favor stumbles, but she's across the line. Susie Favor is the winner, with Alyssa Harvey right behind her getting 2nd.
And Favor, obviously exhausted from that effort. What a gutsy performance by that freshman. Her strategy certainly paid off. And Elisa Harvey just simply didn't have enough of a kick to take Favor down the final stretch.
Great effort by Alyssa Harvey, but she came up short to the freshman from Wisconsin, Susie Favor. And Favor with a NCAA meet record time, 4:09.85. And yet, Joanne, she nearly lost it, stumbling here just a few feet from the finish. What happened?
That's right. You can see here, she just simply trips over her own foot and falls across the finish line.
So Susie Favor, 200 meters. Floyd Hurd was the winner in his specialty, and McRae was just 6th. But McRae is the favorite here.
I think the interesting thing to see, Tim, is whether McRae will get that great start that we've seen in other races. Hurd is a slower starter, but he's a much stronger finisher.
I'll be sure to keep an eye on lane 5 as well. As you mentioned earlier, Craig, Raymond Stewart of TCU, the sophomore from Jamaica, will be a strong contender in this race.
He was 6th in the Los Angeles Olympics 100 meters.
And it's Floyd Hurd in lane number 1 with a great start. And Raymond Stewart in lane 5 with the white jersey. McCray right alongside him. It's going to be Stewart and McCray. And it's Stewart of TCU, the winner in an upset over Lee McCray of Pittsburgh. McCray gets second, and Floyd Hurd wasn't far behind.
The only one not surprised is probably Stewart. He told me that after the Southwest Conference Championship, where he ran 9.99 wind dated, that he was going to come here and win this race, and he certainly did. And the way he did it was to take McCray out of his comfort zone. McCray's the one with the great start. He says he starts on the sound of the gun, the others start on the echo. But here you can see it's Stewart in the middle of the track that gets the better start than McCray. And immediately the pressure was on McCray to make it up. He's been trying to refine his form to make himself more smooth, but he forgets all his lessons here, as it's Stewart that's the smooth one, the silky one, as he comes up to the finish line.
Raymond Stewart, the Jamaican Olympian from TCU, the winner with Lee McCray second, Mike Marsh third, and Floyd Hurd finished fourth. Led American Evelyn Ashford. And the senior from Georgia, Gwen Torrance, will be going for the double in this race, Craig. She's already won the 200 meter, and she wants badly to make it 2 in a row. Last year, she was runner-up in both the 100 and the 200.
And in the 200 here, she really wasn't favored. Lily Leatherwood King, who we see in the all red in the middle, had beaten Torrance at the SEC 200 meters. But here it was Torrance who got the victory with a very strong run in the home stretch.
Gwen Torrance, the senior from Georgia, and she really enjoyed this victory in the 200. Her final NCAA championship, and she's got herself a victory wrapped up already and ready to battle in the 100-meter dash. Gwen will be in a strong field here with Gail Devers of UCLA in lane 6 on one side and Sheila Eccles of LSU in lane 4 on the other. And of course, Eccles, along with Pauline Davis in lane 7 from Alabama, still very much interested in the team championship. Now, Torrance has been running with a sore knee in recent weeks.
We talked to her coach, Mike Sheila. He said that it's limited her training, but doesn't seem to affect her racing. If it would have had an effect, it would have been in the 200. The 100 is her stronger event.
And a good start for Torrance, but Devers right there with her. Look at Eccles. Eccles, the leader at the moment. Now here comes Torrance. Gwen Torrance surging past Eccles. Devers trying to stay with her, but it's Gwen Torrance doubling her victories here in the 200, adding this one here in the 100-meter dash.
That's a great victory for Gwen Torrance. She's won 2 indoor 55-meter sprint titles, but she's never won the 100 meters outdoors. And she wins here because she's the best pure sprinter. Eccles, who gets the great start up on top, and Devers both dabble in other events, the long jump and the hurdles. But it's Torrance who has the best smooth acceleration to her top speed, and she maintains it well all the way to the finish line.
Gwen Torrance, the senior from Decatur, Georgia, winding up her NCAA career and winding it up in style. Coming from a men's tradition in sprinting at Georgia, led, of course, in recent times by the great football player now, Herschel Walker. But Gwen Torrance really enjoying the fruits of her victory here. 2 victories, 100 and 200.
This summer at the Pan American Games or next year at the Olympics.
Gwen Torrance the winner, Gail Devers second during the competition. Currently, she stands 5th in the triple jump, and we'll go back and watch her in action here, Craig.
Hyacinth had established the world record in this event at the SEC Championships, becoming the first woman to jump over 45 feet. Her ankle doesn't seem to bother her until just at the end. As she takes off her left foot, she doesn't take off with full confidence and extension.
Now, evidently, Coach Williamson has decided that Flora will pull out of the remainder of the triple jump competition and concentrate on the 4x400 relay. Sheila Hudson now with the last jump in the triple jump. She is from Cal Berkeley.
Hudson's the leader in the event. She was 5th in this competition last year. That's excellent extension, Tim, way out into the pit. You know, this event is still kind of new for women. The United States is one of the few countries where it's practiced, and one of the difficult things is to learn the technique of the event. The old hop, skip, and jump, now called the triple jump. You've got to generate great speed on the runway, and Hudson is a fast runner, sort of built a lot like Willie Banks, the men's world record holder. Very good extension all the way through. Good hop, good step, and good jump.
Sheila Hudson from Cal Berkeley, and she has established a new world record for the women's event. Sheila Hudson, just a sophomore, 45 feet, 2.5 inches. And they'll be happy at Cal Berkeley for this young lady.
Coach Tony Sandoval calls her one of his superstars. I don't think either of them could have anticipated that this would be a world record jump for her, especially on her last jump of the competition when you're usually tired.
So the standings in the women's triple jump, Hudson the winner. Yvette Bates from USC and her teammate Wendy Brown, second and third. Flora Hyacinth finished fifth. People thought we would have a climax like this one, and the LSU team clearly will be the underdog in this event against what is generally considered to be a stronger Alabama team, but that's a very determined-looking unit. Mimi Morris, Danielle Wolford, Sylvia Bridson, and Shawanda Williams for LSU.
Here are the favorites. Flora Hyacinth will lead off for Alabama, then Sandra Latham, Pauline Davis, and they'll be anchored by the great Lily Leatherwood King.
So we'll be back with what should be the thrilling finish to this women's team competition in a moment. 400-meter relay. LSU with a 3-point lead over Alabama. So the Crimson Tide must score 4 more points than the Tigers of LSU in this final event if they are going to win the overall team title.
There's Flora Hyacinth, the leadoff runner for Alabama. Now, we'd expect Alabama to win this race. But the thing is, winning is not enough. With the scoring system going 10 for first, 8 for second, 6 for third, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they've got to have another team in between them and LSU, even if they win, to win the team title.
We saw Mimi Morris of LSU. She will be the leadoff runner for the Tigers. And they are in lanes 4 and 5, the two leading contenders for this team title, LSU and Alabama.
They'll run a 3-turn stagger, Tim. That means the first runner stays entirely in lanes. They'll take the handoff in lanes and run one more turn in lanes before breaking for the inside. Flora Hyacinth seems to be out to a very slow start for Alabama.
Remember, she has that sore ankle that bothered her in the long jump. It bothered her in the triple jump. But having to lead off Alabama as they try to catch LSU for the team championship.
In a way, Tim, I'm not surprised that they had her lead off. Tactics play an important role in 4x400-meter racing, and I think Alabama wanted to get their weakest leg out of the way at the start.
Texas Southern currently in the lead as they come for the first handoff.
It's tough to tell exactly who's in the lead until they break for the inside on the other side. Texas Southern out very, very strong indeed. And the handoffs are important in 4x400-meter running, just as they are in the short sprint relays. You want to try to keep the baton moving as quickly as possible through the relay zone.
LSU has Danielle Wolford running in number 2. Alabama has Sandra Latham breaking for the inside now.
It's very important to get in a good position and to have room to run. You don't want to be on the inside, really, the way UCLA is there. That woman would have nowhere to go if she wanted to start making a move.
Danielle Wolford of LSU is on the lead.
Gervais McCraw in third place from USC is making a tremendous run.
Wolford trying to hold on here, but it's going to be USC taking the lead.
But look how far behind Alabama is, way, way in the back now, Tim. They've got a lot of work to do as UCLA is now coming up to challenge USC.
Pauline Davis will be next up for Alabama, but she'll be way behind.
The good thing for Alabama is they've got two what track and field people call killers on the last 2 legs for them. People who specialize, who can run great sprints at the end of a 400 meters, and that's going to be their advantage. LSU, who we see now trying to make a move into second place, has a disadvantage. This is Sylvia Bridson running for them. She's more of an 800-meter specialist. They'll be anchored by Shawanda Williams, but we don't even see Alabama in the screen now.
LSU and USC battling for the lead. The Tigers with a 3-point lead coming into this event, the team championship. Alabama way back.
But remember, they've got Lily Leatherwood King running the anchor for them. But not only do they have to win this race, Tim, they've got to have another team in between them. Oh, look at Davis finishing here.
Davis with a handoff to Lily Leatherwood King. Shawanda Williams for LSU. USC still on the lead.
Leatherwood King, we already saw running second in the 200 meters, winning the 400 meters. Pauline Davis having run a 50.3 to bring Alabama back into this, and Leatherwood King is into second.
That's Leslie Maxey of USC on the lead. Lily Leatherwood King of Alabama into second place, coming from well behind to move ahead of the LSU Tigers.
Remember, Tim, the best part of her race is her finish. We've got to think that she's going to be able to sweep by Maxey here.
Leatherwood King trying to catch Maxey. what a tremendous display. Maxey of USC is second. The Tigers have fallen back. It's going to be Alabama. Alabama to the wire. Lily Leatherwood King winning this 4x400 relay. And the team championship will go to the Crimson Tide. USC was second. And LSU was fourth behind Texas Southern in third place.
Lily Leatherwood King, I think she's too tired to be happy at this point, but what a heroic come-from-behind run on her anchor leg.
Tremendous job by the senior, who already has a victory in the 400-meter dash to her credit. And you can't say enough about Flora Hyacinth, who literally had to limp around on the opening leg for Alabama. Didn't do so well, but was out there giving it her best, and Alabama won it.
It was a courageous effort. A relay is the sum total of the efforts of 4 athletes, and Flora really gave it her all. Here's the replay of the last leg, Tim, and USC is ahead. The Tigers are in second, and Pauline Davis has run a great leg for Alabama to put Lily Leatherwood King in the hunt on this last lap. And this is exactly what you want. You want to have a great 400-meter runner like Lily Leatherwood King on your anchor leg. She won the gold medal in this 4x400-meter relay at the 1984 Olympics. She has experience in big races, and as you see her go by LSU's Shawanda Williams, Williams is a 400-meter hurdle specialist. She runs a good 400 meters, but she's just not world-class in this event like Lily Leatherwood King is. Now the question becomes, can Lily Leatherwood King not only pass Leslie Maxey of USC, but will Maxey hold off Shawanda Williams of LSU? And here, as Lily Leatherwood King sees the finish line and knows that the team championship is within her grasp, LSU falls back.
Mary Anyali of Texas Southern got up to be third, and LSU finishing fourth, so Alabama the team champion. Now here's Doug Williamson as he was watching the race, that final leg, with tension all over his face. Lily Leatherwood King trying to get the title for him. Doug Williamson looking up at the board to have it confirmed that Alabama is the winner of this women's team title. Now, meanwhile, here's a look at Lauren Seagrave as he watched that final leg, the head coach of the women's team at LSU. And disappointment for Coach Seagrave as he saw his Tigers fall into fourth place in the race and into second place in the team championship. A valiant effort by the Tigers, but Alabama, runners-up a year ago, the champions this year. Now, as we see some of the runners being iced down after this grueling race, we've learned that Alabama has been disqualified from the relay race. And Coach Doug Williamson is appealing right now. He has filed a protest to the Rules Committee of the meet.
Here's the committee that's considering that protest. Now, Alabama was disqualified because their third runner, Pauline Davis, began her preparations to take the baton outside of, and you can see her feet over the line there, outside of the 20-meter relay passing zone. She's not allowed to be over that blue line while she's waiting for the baton to be brought to her or while she takes the baton. Now, the official, the lane inspector that we see here, he has the responsibility to place the athletes in the proper position while they wait for the baton to come in. Alabama has protested and said that he didn't do his job, that he didn't put the Alabama runner in the correct position. The arrow here points to Hoover Wright, the meet referee who's trying to help out with this very complicated situation. The Alabama runner that we saw circled there, Pauline Davis, is outside of that passing zone. She has her left foot fully outside of it. She's not in the correct position to receive or to wait to receive the baton. This is always a difficult moment in any track meet as the athletes jostle for position. And you can see Hoover Wright and the inspector trying to move them into the correct position. That's the second time he's told her to step back inside the zone. But right there, you can still see her foot over the blue line in the illegal position.
Well, Craig, we've learned that the protest has been denied. The disqualification will stand, and a very upset Doug Williamson.
In second place, Longhorns of Texas University with 28 points.
Is there another step in the process?
Ladies and gentlemen,
That's the final. You can see when the referee, the games committee, or the rules committee of the final vote.
NCAA men's track and field champion.
Doug, you don't know how sorry I am.
UCLA, 81 points.
You're going to take a national championship away from a group of kids?
I didn't take it away from you. Your kids took it away.
These officials didn't do their job, and they took it away.
They didn't gain anything.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That's what the NCAA.
Misfortune for Alabama. USC is the winner of the relay. Texas Southern second. LSU was third. And so the Tigers of LSU,
Tim, was to win what they consider. The thing that really capped it off for them, I think, Tim, was to win what they consider their event, the 4x400 meter relay. You know, they've won this event 6 times in a row from 1969 to 1974, 7 times in all. And when Danny Everett, their young sophomore 400-meter runner, got it in the lead, they had to think they were going to win their 8th title in this event. Everett didn't have an easy race here. He was running against Roy Martin of SMU, who last year helped SMU not only win this race, but win the NCAA crown. But Everett's a very savvy runner, a very confident runner. You could almost sense here that he was holding a little something back for this stretch run, and he's one of these guys that's got a future, not only because he's running great times now, but he's doing it with style. He's got very, very good form, and that's ultimately what carries him to the victory here.
And so for Joanne Ernst and Craig Masback, I'm Tim Ryan saying so long for CBS Sports Saturday.
This special edition of CBS Sports Saturday has been sponsored by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. Metropolitan Life and affiliated companies. Get Met, it pays. And by Skin Bracer Aftershave. Takes care of men who take care of their skin. Skin Bracer by Menon.
Football career, Ronaldo has left the hurdles behind and joined our commentary team. Ronaldo, welcome to ABC Sports. You've heard Marty talk about the potential for records in the sprint events. Score of East Germany, the collegiate record, 11.07, set a year ago by a woman whom you will see in this race. This is a strong field, but there are 2 competitors who stand out. One, in lane number 5, Jeanette Bolden of UCLA, a junior, a figure on the American scene in the sprint for the last 5 years, ever since she was 17 years old. She has come back from some injuries and is capable of challenging this woman who's one of the top sprinters in the world. Merlene Ottey of Nebraska and Jamaica ranks along with Evelyn Ashford of the United States and a few Eastern Europeans as the very top women sprinters in the world. Ottey is a strong favorite here. Bolden is expected to challenge her.
Jim, Bolden, who is much taller than Ottey, has a more effective start. On the other hand, Marlene Ottey relies on her kick. So I think these 2 contrasting styles will be very significant at the finish of the race.
Ottey on the left, Bolden on the right as they prepare for the start. UCLA demonstrates their depth with 3 qualifiers in the field. Lawrence Griffith of UCLA was left at the block, but Bolden got a great start, and it is Bolden who holds the lead at the 50-meter mark. Now Merlene Ottey coming on. Ottey has run her down and will come across the line first. Victory for Merlene Ottey. It looks like Jeanette Bolden of UCLA was able to hold on for second place. But the woman who won both collegiate women's sprint titles last year is halfway to the same double this year.
Jim, as we see in the replay, as I mentioned, Bolden, who has the better start, is out quickly out of the block. But I think she starts standing upright, and she starts having problems really early in the race. On the other hand, as we see over in lane 6, Ottey, who leans forward, seems to be coming on rather quickly, and Bolden is having trouble. She's starting to fade very quickly in the race, as we see Ottey starting to take over and really increase her lead.
Ottey's winning time of 10 and 9700 seconds is not a new collegiate record because the win was above the allowable limit. Second place to Jeanette Bolden. Benita Fitzgerald just edged Diane Williams in a photo for third place. Ready now for the finals of the 400-meter intermediate hurdles. World record held by Edwin Moses, set 2 years ago in Milan. The collegiate record also held by Moses, 47 and 45 100ths of a second, and that record is 5 years old. We have a balanced field. The 3 men in lanes 5, 6, and 7 stick out as the favorites. David Patrick of Tennessee in lane 5, champion at both the Penn Relays and the Southeastern Conference Championship meet. Bernie Holloway in lane 6, San Jose State University, former California Junior College champion. And Larry Cowling, the Pac-10 champion who was 6th in this event a year ago and runs for the University of California at Berkeley. Interesting that Cowling is also a high hurdler, perhaps a little better in that event than Aldo.
That's correct, Jim. Larry Cowling, I'm very surprised, made this finals. He's a novice at this event, and he's a high hurdler by trade. So I think he's going to have to use what speed he has to try to gain the lead and establish that early. On the other hand, David Patrick from Tennessee runs the half mile, and he's very strong, but he's a late starter, so we'll have to see how these two contrasting styles measure up.
Everyone in the world who competes in this event competes to some degree in the shadow of Edwin Moses. But any of the 3 men we mentioned in the middle of the track is capable of developing into the kind of talent who could join Moses in representing this country in this event in the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in 1984. Clean start. Remember, the lanes to watch are lanes 5, 6, and 7 as they move towards the backstretch. Already out in lane 7, Larry Cowling of California has begun to make up the stagger, and he has a large lead as they go down the backstretch, well ahead of Bernie Holloway and also ahead of David Patrick of Tennessee. Patrick, at the right of your screen, is moving at a measured pace down the backstretch. Cowling toward the outside is flying and has built up a huge lead, having moved past the 2 runners to the outside of him. And as they come off the turn into the straight with just 3 more hurdles to go, Cowling is well ahead of both Patrick and Holloway. Now David Patrick of Tennessee has come on into second place and is beginning to make up ground on Larry Cowling as they come to the tape. It is David Patrick who just leaned in at the last moment and got his body in front of Larry Cowling as Cowling fell down coming across the finish. Patrick got the victory.
Jim, Cowling did exactly what he had to do. He had to go out fast and establish a lead. I think his lack of experience showed up here as I think he ran a little bit too hard. I think as he runs more races, he will become more efficient at this event.
So the strength of the half-miler, Patrick, was too much for the speed of the high hurdler, Cowling, and victory for the man from Tennessee in the 400-meter intermediate hurdle. Patrick's time in the event, 48 and 44 hundredths, a very good time. Cowling just 200ths of a second behind. Third place to Paul Montgomery of Baylor. 2 set at altitude by Pietro Manea of Italy. Collegiate record 20.03 held by Clancy Edwards could go in this race if the wind is under the allowable limit. In lane 2, first man on the track, you have Philip Epps of TCU, former football player on the Southwest Conference 200-meter champ. Lane 3, Mike Miller of Tennessee. Enormous improvement this year for Miller, and he set a new NCAA meet record in qualifying of 20.15. Lane 4, Ronnie Taylor of Florida State, also a quarter-miler. Lane 5, one of the co-favorites, Calvin Smith, University of Alabama, twice a finalist in the NCAA 100 meters, now in the 200. Lane 6, Eric Brown, another former football player and a very consistent sprinter from UCLA. Lane 7, James Butler of Oklahoma State. second in this meet 2 years ago, injured last year, but one of the favorites along with Miller and Calvin Smith. Lane 8, Darrell Green of Texas A&I, the NCAA Division II champion. And lane 9, a bit of a surprise, Elliott Tabron of Michigan State, former quarter miler who became the Big Ten champion in this event this year and has improved radically.
Mike Miller of Tennessee in lane 3 has improved his personal best in this event by nearly 3/4 of a second this year. But in lane 3, he'll be running a much tighter turn than perhaps one of the other favorites in the race, James Butler of Oklahoma State, who's out in lane 7.
Jim, the key to running the 200 is to run an effective turn. You want to be in striking distance coming down the straightaway.
Good start. All 8 runners got out of the blocks well, especially Butler out in lane 7 and Miller in lane 3. As they come into the straight, it is Miller in lane number 3. Next to him, Philip Epps is running well. Butler in lane 7. Those are the 3 at the front. 40 yards to go, and now James Butler is pulling a little ahead, and it is Butler who leans into the tape. A blanket for second place between Eric Brown, Calvin Smith, and Mike Miller over in lane 3, but James Butler, second in the event 2 years ago, injured last year, has finally won the NCAA 200-meter championship.
Jim, as I said, the key to the 200 was running a good turn. Miller got out good, but I don't think he saw Butler over in lane 7. I think the competitors were still in awe of Miller's qualifying time as Butler here stole the show.
Good point, Ronaldo. Butler took advantage of the outside lane. Now Marty LaCourie is with him on the .07, wind aided. Calvin Smith was awarded second place just ahead in field championships. And while we wait for the next race to take place on the track, a chance to look back at some outstanding performances which took place earlier here. First, in the women's javelin, Karen Smith, who won collegiate championships in this event back in 1976 and 1977, returned to competition in the uniform of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and produced the same result. Her throw of 206 feet 9 inches was 15 feet ahead of the runner-up men, who cleared the height of 7 feet 6 1/4 inches. They moved to 7 feet 7 1/4 inches. And Adi cleared to establish a new record for a Canadian, a new British Commonwealth record, and a collegiate record in the event. But that wasn't all. Del Davis, a junior at UCLA, the Pac-10 champion, but not as well known as some of the other jumpers in the event, such as past winners Jeff Woodard of Alabama and Leo Williams of Navy, was still in the competition against Adi. And he, too, cleared at 7 feet 7 1/4 inches, tying the American record in the event held by Dwight Stone. The bar was then moved to the height of 7 feet 9 1/4 inches for a try at a world record, and both Davis and Adi had very narrow misses at that height. In that under perfect conditions, Cameron would have a shot at breaking Lee Evans' record. There is Bert Cameron on the left in the blue and orange top, and his primary competition should come from the man with his back to you on the right of the screen, who will be running in lane 6 directly next to Bert Cameron. That is Kashif Hassan from Khartoum in Sudan and from Oregon State University. Hassan won this championship in 1979. Cameron has won it for the last 2 years. Marty LaCourie, Hassan being on the inside of Cameron, he'll be able to look at Bert, and Bert will not see him for most of the race.
No, it's definitely an advantage for Hassan, but Bert would know that if he even senses Hassan out of the corner of his eye that Bert, is not going fast enough, because Bert's going to want to have a bit of a lead as they come off of the last turn. Unfortunately, it's come up very windy just as they get in the blocks.
It is a strong, gusting wind, and probably enough to rule out any possibility of a record in this race. Clean start. Cameron, remember, will be toward the outside of the track. Only 2 runners are outside of him as he is in lane 7. And Cameron is moving well as they go up the backstretch and into the wind. Kashif Hassan has started to make up some ground in the lane right next to Cameron. All the way on the inside in lane 3, Elliott Tabron of Michigan State is running very hard up the backstretch, and he may have the lead as they come off the turn.
Eugene Saunders, who's a big, heavy guy, may have an advantage in this strong wind. He's out quick, too. Right now, though, it's still Bert Cameron and Eugene Saunders as they hit it just about even.
They come off the turn and down the stretch. That is Cameron, who is leading with Hassan pushing him. They are just about dead even as they come to the tape. And as they get there, they lean. Impossible to tell for sure, but it looks to me, Marty, as though Hassan Nipton.
It did to me also, and what a great race.
Terrific race. And now we'll have another look at the finish.
Some races are won on superior conditioning, but this one definitely was two equal athletes, one of which used a better strategy for the day. Bert, the favorite with a lot of pressure on him, went out very quickly, used a lot of his energy at the beginning of the race, perhaps chasing that record, and Hassan chose a strategy of laying back, working into it gradually, and saving it for the last 50, and it really worked for him as he's the one that had just that little extra over the last 20 yards.
So victory in the race for Kashif Hassan of Oregon State. Another look as they come down the stretch towards you, and you see both of them straining toward the finish.
Well, this is what relaxation is all about, making your muscles do what you want them to do under pressure.
Recovery at this altitude from the 400-meter run will take quite some time. Final results, Kashif Hassan winning for the second time in his career. Victory in this race. Bert Cameron missed becoming the first man since 1952 to win the 400 meters 3 years in a row. And at that time, it was another Jamaican, George teammate Carl Lewis, who dominated the sprint. Floyd had transferred from Auburn and was ineligible to compete. This year, it is Lewis who is ineligible, and it is Stanley Floyd's turn to star, a situation which creates no animosity between them.
Carlos, now we are very close.
Lewis of Houston, who is academically ineligible to compete this year. Stanley Floyd is in the middle of the track in lane 4. His primary competition could come from the two men on either side of him. Willie Galt of Tennessee, an outstanding high hurdler who's improved markedly in the sprint, and in lane 5, Calvin Smith of Alabama. All start. And it looked as though it was Calvin Smith of Alabama next to Stanley Floyd in lane 5 who came out early. Another look.
That's correct, Jim. It was Calvin Smith, and when you're alongside Stanley Floyd, who has an explosive start, you can't get caught anticipating the gun, which is a crucial mistake here in the 100.
In NCAA track and field, one false start means disqualification. So, Calvin Smith of Alabama will now be out of the race, and lane 5 will be empty as you look at Stanley Floyd and Willie Galt preparing for another start. Strong wind is now starting to pick up as it has become heavily overcast here, and the weather is changing just before the start of this race. This time a clean start, and as they come out of the box, Mike Miller of Tennessee got the jump momentarily. Now it is Stanley Floyd who has moved back into the front. Stanley Floyd pulling away as they come to the tape. He goes across the line ahead of both Willie Galt and Mike Miller of Tennessee, and immediately as he came across the line, you saw Stanley glancing up at the big scoreboard to see his unofficial time.
Jim, as we see here in the replay, the start is the most important part, and to everyone's surprise, Floyd didn't establish the lead early. He's getting pressure on his left side from Willie Galt and also Mike Miller on the right. But Stanley right here is starting to really smoothen out his technique and has a great body lean as we go into the tape. The two Tennessee sprinters, second and third.
Now another look at the race isolated on Floyd and Galt. What's it like running next to an empty lane, Ronaldo?
Well, I know when I'm running, Jim, I like to be right in the middle. And right here, Stanley has no one on his right side to groove against, and he really has to run all alone. He can't really see anyone on his outside.
You saw him drift momentarily into the empty lane. Now Marty LaCourie is with him on the infield. 3 is the 6th fastest 100-meter time ever recorded. The rain affects the hurdler.
Well, Jim, it's hard enough trying to beat your competition and trying to perfect your technique along the race. But when Mother Nature brings down this storm, it really psychs the competitor out. And I know when I was competing, the most common thing on your mind is falling down. And if the hurdlers aren't careful today.
Collegiate record also at 13 flat. The field shows Willie Galt in lane number 2, Mylan Stewart right next to him in lane number 3, and Larry Cowling separated from them in lane 6.
Jim, when running a race in the rain like this, the most important part of the race, and perhaps the most dangerous part, is your clearance over the first hurdle.
If there is any man in the field with special motivation, it would have to be Mylan Stewart of Southern Cal, who missed this meet 2 years ago with an injury and missed it again last year when the Trojans were on track and field probation. There are 10 hurdles on the track. Galt in qualifying hit all 10, but still had a good time. As they come over the middle section of the race, Willie Galt has the lead. Mylan Stewart trying to press him in lane 3. Cowling now coming on. It is Stewart who pulled away as they came across the last hurdle. And Mylan Stewart of Southern Cal once again defeated Larry Cowling, this time Willie Galt along with him, to become the NCAA hurdles champ.
Jim, as we see here, Willie Galt, second from the right, gets out fast, has a smooth start over the first hurdle. But he commences to hit hurdles. In weather conditions like this, you don't want to worry about your opposition nor your running. You just want to be concentrating on each hurdle individually.
How much time do you lose each time you hit a hurdle, Keith?
I would imagine 2 to 400ths of a second. And right there, hurdle number 8, Willie Gold almost went down as we saw Marlin take him over.
We have a unique opportunity. The man who in the past 2 days asked you, Ronaldo Nehemiah, for a great deal of help in this area. What are his problems?
Jim, Willie's very muscular for a hurdle, and he hits a lot of hurdles, and that's his main problem. And if he doesn't hit a lot of hurdles, he'd be okay. He has great speed, but as he's coming up to hurdle number 8, as we see there, he almost falls down, loses his momentum, and Marlon Stewart catches him.
Galt has more the strength of a sprinter than the flexibility of a hurdler, right? Dude, came in the men's triple jump. Keith Connor of Great Britain and Southern Methodist University uncorked a leap of 57 feet 7 3/4 inches. We'll take another look at the second best triple jump of all time, the best ever by an American collegian, and a British Commonwealth record in the event. Off of the world mark of 58 8.5 set by Yayo Oliveira of Brazil, of course, there is one 200-meter run, Merlene Ottey of Nebraska and Jamaica. She established the collegiate record for this event in finishing third at the Moscow Olympic Games. That's 22.20. The world record in the event, 21.71, belonging to Marita Koch of East Germany. Ottey is up against relatively strong field. She's in the middle of the track in lane 5. Next to her in lane 4, inside of her, Florence Griffith of UCLA, last year's runner-up. Outside of her in lane 6, Randy Givens, a former high school phenomenon who's an excellent 200-meter runner. And in lane 7, Marita Payne, winner of the 400-meter race in this meet. Both of them are strong and fast finishers, but Merlene Ottey comes out of the block and has already taken the lead over the field as she comes off the curve. She is well ahead of Griffith and Randy Givens as she comes down the straight. So Merlene Ottey on the wet track trying to hold off now. Florence Griffith, who is moving up on the inside and could score a big upset. Florence Griffith, who has improved enormously this year, has just knocked off Merlene Ottey as Ottey was going for her third straight women's collegiate title at 200 meters. Griffith upset her, and that's the biggest win of Florence Griffith's career. Ronaldo Nehemiah, how about this finish?
Jim, the turn in the women's 200 is as equally important as it is in the men's. And I think Ottey felt a little fatigue here, and she's just trying to hang on, and she's run a number of races in this NCAA meet.
So Florence Griffith was able to take advantage of Ottey's fatigue and run her down at the line. Marty's with her right now.
In lane 5, which at 39.01 has the fastest time this season. The expected check. Contrast, freshman Sam Grady will be running the leadoff leg for Tennessee, but the Volunteers will be anchored by one of the best and most experienced sprinters at this meet, Willie Gold, who will be appearing in the 100 meters, the 110-meter high hurdles, and as the anchor man on this relay for the Volunteers. Very quickly, the rest of the field, Arizona State in lane 2, Tennessee in 3, North Carolina State in lane 4, TCU in 5, Georgia in 6, Washington in 7, Rice in 8, and Texas Southern in lane 9. One reason Philip Epps is running the leadoff leg for TCU is that he is regarded as a very strong curve runner. And with tight turns on this track, that is very important in a relay. And Epps has run a strong curve to give TCU a good position in the middle of the track as they go down the backstretch. Washington out in lane 7 is also running very well as Sterling Hines hands it off to Byron Howell for the Huskies. And Tennessee is back in 5th place as Terry Scott gets ready to give the anchor baton to Willie Gold. Gold in 5th place as he takes the baton, but now he is coming on in lane 3. In the middle of the track, it is still TCU with the lead, but now here comes Willie Gold. And he got him. Tennessee with a victory as Galt stumbles just beyond the tape. A great anchor leg by Galt as he reeled in the rest of the field. Washington finished second as they got a great anchor run from Lenoris Marshall, and the favorite TCU team was relegated to 6th. But let's watch one more time as Willie Galt took the baton well back in 5th place. The man from Arizona State in lane 2 was ahead of him. So were the runners from TCU, Georgia, and Washington out in the middle of the track. But here, with 90 meters to go, you can see how Galt began to accelerate. And watch now how he looked to his right twice down the stretch to check the runners from the other teams. Once there, and one more time before the tape, he looked back to his right, almost costing himself the victory as Lenoris Marshall of Washington was coming strong out in lane 7. See with the victory in 39-22, the Washington Huskies second, the Georgia Bulldogs third. Justice Home Computer. Is here this year despite not having run an indoor season. And she's flanked on both sides by tough, experienced runners. On the left, Randy Givens of Florida State, who, like Adi, will be running the 100, the 200, and the 400 meters in this meet. And on the right, Diane Williams of Cal State Los Angeles, whose best time this year is within 4/100ths of a second of Merlene's. Lane 1, Rufina Uba of Missouri. Lane 2, Donna Dennis of Washington. Lane 3, Sharon Ware, Arizona State. Lane 4, Givens. Lane 5, Adi. Lane 6, Williams. Lane 7, Brenda Cleat of Florida State. Lane 8, Jennifer Ennis. And Lane 9, Michelle Glover. There is a strong breeze in the stadium as they take off. Adi got a pretty good start for such a tall woman. Randy Givens has already dropped back. It is Adi and Diane Williams in the middle of the track. And now Adi is able to lean into the tape just ahead of Diane Williams, who pressed her all the way.
That's correct, Jim. And the thing we were looking for is one of these women could have a fast start. Adi is not known for having a quick start. She's a stand-up kind of very strong runner, and that's what she did. It worked out for her. She was out quick, and her strength at the end of the stretch paid off. We see here at the start, Diane Williams, who's on the left side of Adi, actually gets out first, but the strength of Adi catches her right away. Adi is very strong and very erect, as you can see there, and she knows that Diane Williams is with her all the way. So the experience right here, I think, was the big factor. She's staying composed, running her race, very smooth, very long stride. And in a race as close as this, you have to stay composed, and that's what she did.
And Merlene's winning time is 2/100ths of a second under her collegiate record of 11.06, but the following win was above the allowable limit, so the record still stands. He's 20 years old. He's a freshman in his first semester at the University of Oregon in Eugene, and he is a heavy favorite to win this race with a seeded time nearly a second better than that of anybody else in the field coming into the meet. Now, if he is in fact to be pressured, that is likely to come from one of the two men who will start on the outside of the track. Stanley Redwine of Arkansas, a former quarter miler who will be starting off in lane number 8. He has the white jersey on. Or the man on the far outside, William Wyke of Alabama and Venezuela, who also has a chance, based on his times and performances coming into the meet, to press Joaquin Cruz. But frankly, if what happened in the Pac-10 meet is any indication of what will happen here, it is unlikely that Joaquin Cruz will have extreme pressure coming down the stretch. Very quickly, the field from top to bottom. Lane 2, Cruz. Lane 3, Mark Handelsman of Southern Cal. Lane 4, Scott Davis of Missouri. Lane 5, Brian McNellis of Georgetown. Lane 6, Pete Richardson of Arizona State. Lane 7, Charles Anderson of Ohio State. Lane 8, Redwine of Arkansas. Lane 9, Wyke of Alabama. Marty LaCourie, what to look for in terms of style from young Joaquin Cruz?
Well, right now he's running a very smart race. He's gotten out and protected his position. He's a tall, lanky guy, and he doesn't want to be in the pack where his long back kick could cause him some trouble with someone stepping on him from behind. As you said, he's a bit faster than anybody in this race on time, and if you're the favorite, you want to go out there and make sure the race comes up to form. You don't get stuck in the back playing games. He's gone out and really just taken charge. He's worked hard to come to the United States and get to school, and the look on his face right now is that I've come a long way and I'm not going to be denied in the next 50 seconds. The first 400 meters,
50.0. That is a pretty fast start for the first 400 meters of this race, and you can see Cruz is just letting the rest of the field drop back off of him now. That is Mark Handelsman of Southern Cal, who is still within radical hailing distance in second place. Now Handelsman is going to surrender second place to Scott Davis of Missouri, who's trying to make a run, but they're all just waving at Cruz, who is way off in front of them.
And he doesn't seem to be coming back to them. This is a man who holds the world junior record in this event, faster than Jim Ryan, a tremendous talent. The rest of the field may be coming back on him a little bit, but he just ran away, and what a debut. One of the great talents in the world right now, only 20 years old, and he is hurting physically, but he made it look easy.
Joaquin Cruz, 20 years old,
from Taguatinga, Brazil, and Oregon. It's the first time we've had a chance to see him in a big-time American meet against top international competition, and he made it look easy. And remember the name. You would have to guess that he will be in Los Angeles representing Brazil in the Olympic Games. He has just run the fastest time ever run in this meet in the men's 800 meet. Unranked triple jumper in the world, Keith Connor of Slough, England, defended his NCAA championship with a jump of 56 feet, 7.5 inches. SMU got another boost toward the team championship when Michael Carter picked up his third NCAA outdoor title to go with 3 indoor championships. He has never been beaten in NCAA shot put competition. Second place went to John Brenner, and Dean Krauser was third in that event. And Bert Cameron of Jamaica and the University of Texas at El Paso wiped out the memory of last year's disappointing loss to Kashif Hassan when he won the 400-meter race for the 3rd time in his career. Cameron, the world's #1 ranked quarter-miler, picking up a 3rd NCAA championship to join his countryman George Roden of Jamaica as one of the men to have accomplished that rare feat. Collegiate record 10.00 was set by Carl Lewis when he competed for the University of Houston. In the middle of the track, you have 3 Southeastern Conference sprinters who are the 3 favorites in the race. Emmett King of Alabama in lane 5, Calvin Smith in the middle in lane 6, and Willie Gault of Tennessee in lane 7. In the Southeastern Conference Championship meet just a couple of weeks ago, Smith defeated his teammate King by 2/100ths of a second, with Gault 3rd. There's the rest of the field. If you're looking for an upset, you might focus on Rod Richardson of Texas A&M in lane 3, an oft-injured but talented sprinter.
Set.
Now they're off. And particularly fast out of the blocks is Sam Grady of Tennessee, but now he has been caught in the middle of the track. It is Emmett King of Alabama who has the lead. King is now trying to hold off Calvin Smith, and I think he did. Willie Gault, perhaps bothered by a hamstring, was never really in the race. You saw that he wore the long pants in the race, and that could mean that the hamstring muscle was bothering him. But it was a close finish at the tape between King and Smith, and I think Emmett King reversed his Southeastern Conference loss to teammate Calvin Smith.
That's correct, Jim. And most of these men in this race are not known for their starts. The race is usually won in the last 40 meters, so most of the men feel if they're in this dogfight at about 60 meters, they have a good chance of winning this race. Emmett King over in lane 5 gets out very well. So does Willie Gault, who probably anticipated a start. Right about now, Emmett King is starting to take over the race. He's running very smooth, and he seems to be very much in control. Calvin Smith in lane 6, however, is running very much erect, but he's starting to make a move. I think if Calvin Smith worked on his upper body strength like Emmett King, he probably could have been there much sooner in the race.
Now Marty LaCourie on the infield with Smith and King. I'm with State. Lane 8, Kathy Rattray of Tennessee, important to Tennessee's title hopes. And lane 9, Sharon Dabney of Cal State, Los Angeles. And this field is an illustration of how the quarter mile for both men and women has become a sprint. Neither Griffith nor Oddie runs it very often, but no one doubts that either is capable of winning.
What you have to watch here is Merlene Oddie in the center of the track, who may be tempted to go out a little bit too fast, and if some of the other 400-meter runners go with her, they could not run their own race. If someone like Kathy Rattray or Diane Dixon could just run their normal 400-meter race, I think they stand their best chance of winning.
Down the backstretch, it is Diane Dixon of Ohio State who has made a big move, a former high school phenom with a lot of talent. In the middle of the track, Deneen Howard is trying to run a consistent race with her, and now Florence Griffith of UCLA is moving up on Deneen Howard's shoulder. The woman who has dropped back is Merlene Oddie of Nebraska. She's not going to be a factor. This is going to be Griffith against Deneen Howard.
But the action is at the top of the screen. Easter Gabriel and Merlene Oddie closing very quickly on Florence Griffith.
Griffith is going to have to hold on. Does she have the strength to win a quarter mile? She does. She hits the tape unofficially 50.92, a fast time brought on by the very fast first 200 meters. And Florence Griffith of UCLA has moved up successfully from the sprint to beat Merlene Oddie at 400 meters.
Well, Merlene Ottey and Florence Griffith ran two different races, although they're both sprinters moving up. Griffith went out very fast and used strength to hang on, while Ottey in the center of the track with the red shorts on went out slow and then picked off the stragglers in the last straightaway. Two different ways, but they both really achieved the same result, and that was to score good points for their team.
How many hurdles? You look at the names of those people in the rest of the field, and there is one simple formula for running a strong race in the 110-meter hurdles. It is as simple as this. You don't hit hurdles. You run a clean race if you want to win. Sounds easy. It's not as easy as it sounds sometimes for Willie Gault, who has had difficulty hitting hurdles in the past. He lost to Milan Stewart of Southern Cal last year. Right now he's in trouble as over in lane 2. Roger Kingdom of Pittsburgh is trying to pull a big upset, but Gault leans in at the tape, and I don't think he got him. I think Roger Kingdom of Pittsburgh at the far side of the screen scored a big upset there.
That's right, Jim. And anytime you run any hurdle race, the safest way to assure yourself to be at least in the lead throughout half the race is to try to get out of the blocks extremely fast. Willie Gault, as we'll see in the replay, didn't have an excitable start at all.
Breaking the old record of 2:02.
I think one of the reasons why Willie Gault didn't have a good start is that he got caught anticipating the starter. But Roger Kingdom over in lane number 3 has a great start. And one of Willie Gault's problems, as you see now, is that he's starting to hit a lot of hurdles. And that could be disastrous in a hurdles race. The key thing is to keep your concentration and not to hit hurdles. Don't lose your mental edge. And Roger Kingdom is right now just trying to concentrate on getting to that line first.
And now Marty LaCourie is with Roger Kingdom.
Roger, this has to be a great victory for you.
And what Roger Kingdom said about getting out first and settling down is exactly what Willie Gault, who came into this race as one of the favorites, didn't do. As you see here, he ran into problems early because of that poor start. He starts hitting hurdles, and he almost hits every hurdle. And then the key to running a good, clean hurdles race is not to hit hurdles. Stay high on your toes and keep that lead leg about 2 inches over each obstacle. And as you see, Willie Gault coming off this last hurdle off balance, and it probably cost him second place.
Now let's join Marty LaCourie to see how Willie is handling it. Florida State has 3 runners. Brenda Cleette in lane 3, Randy Gibbons in lane 4, and Marita Payne in lane 8. UCLA has Griffith. And Tennessee, without a runner in the race, is going to get hurt in this 200 meters. You should also keep an eye on Diane Williams in lane 7, who lost the 100 meters by only 1/100th of a second to Merlene Ottey.
Let's go, Fro. Come on.
Griffith is such a beautiful woman that it's easy to underestimate her competitive drive, but she is a fierce killer competitor, and down the backstretch, off the turn, she has already caught Merlene Ottey. So it's Florence Griffith in front, now trying to hold Ottey off, and I think she's going to be able to do it. What a gutty run down the straight by Florence Griffith. Now Ottey is pushing in front of her. They'll lean at the tape, and Ottey got her. Merlene Ottey, in the last 3 strides, was able to get past Florence Griffith. Oh, what a spirited battle.
A sweet revenge for Ottey. It was neck and neck throughout the whole race. She is a very strong finisher. Florence Griffith, obviously smaller on the inside lane, had the advantage because she could run off of Ottey's pace. But I think she was just too tired. She gave it her all. She said, I'm going to get out there. You're going to have to come get me if you want it. And Ottey just dug down. And the last 4 or 5 meters just pulled it out.
13:73.
And you can see coming into the straightaway, Florence Griffith has a slight advantage over Merlene Ottey on the outside. But Ottey quickly pulls up, and it's neck and neck. And this is a very long sprint, so you don't want to do anything fancy. You want to stay in control, keep your concentration, and work on your technique. Right about now, though, Florence Griffith seems to start having problems. Fatigue is starting to set in, and her form is becoming very ragged. And she's starting to move from side to side. Whereas Merlene Ottey, I think the reason she wins this race is that she runs completely through the tape.
And Merlene is in the 1,600-meter relay. The men's 1,600-meter relay on the second leg. The favored Baylor team, which set a collegiate record earlier this spring, is in second place, with Johnny Thomas running right now behind Calvin Smith of Alabama. But the big story here is that SMU holds its fate in its own hands. The Mustangs have a team in this relay race. If they finish 5th or better, they win the team championship. If they finish 6th, they tie Tennessee. If they finish 7th or 8th, they will lose the team championship to Tennessee. So now as the second leg is completed, you can see that SMU is back in last place, and the Mustangs have some difficulty ahead of them.
They're going to have to be very smart from here on in because they're used to being in the thick of things. And what happens when you're this far out of it, you tend to go out too fast, and one man tries to make up the entire deficit. What they've got to do is have each man make up 10 or 12 yards. Now, the thing that's going to help SMU right there is that the race in the front is so close, there's sure to be some bumping. There's going to be a lot of passing and some extra yards run by that first group, and SMU is going to be able to stay on the inside of the track and move up to the pack. Remember, they only have to get 5th. They're not trying to win now.
And as the anchormen take the baton, TCU has taken over the lead. Michigan State is in 2nd place. The favored Baylor team back in 4th place, and SMU has now moved into 6th. A freshman football player named Rod Jones is running the anchor leg for SMU. He must pass one more man to win this meet for the Mustangs.
And he's already done it on that first turn, Jim. He's now in 5th place. All he's got to do is hang on in that last straightaway. He may have gone out too fast to get that 5th place, but here's a break for them. Baylor is down on the infield, so they're in 4th.
Willie Caldwell, the Baylor anchorman, going down. TCU battling Michigan State for the victory, but there in the middle of the screen is the story. Rod Jones with the red jersey and the blue shorts is about to wrap up an NCAA outdoor championship for SMU. He does. The Mustangs, who have never before won this team championship, add the outdoor title to the indoor title they won for the first time this spring. And TCU scores an upset victory in the 1,600-meter relay. But Rod Jones did his job in the anchor leg for the Mustangs and did it dramatically.
Dramatically and with a lot of pressure on him. He's running the anchor leg for the first time in college, and he went out, ran a very smart race, got 5th place in the first 200 meters. But here, as Willie Caldwell from Baylor goes down, Rod Jones moves into 4th place, so we'll never really know how close that team championship could have been for SMU. Jones running a very, very smart leg, and it's going to be a fast one. As you'll see, he's gaining on the leaders, who have a very tough battle of their own just for first place.
It certainly was a fast anchor leg, Marty. We've just been told that Rod Jones was clocked for those 400 meters in 44.1
seconds. Ronaldo, the winner is going to come right from the middle of that pack.
That, in fact, it is. And Mutwakil is very short for intermediate hurdler. She's only 5 foot 2 inches, but she's a very good quarter miler.
They stay in their lanes all the way around.
Set.
And there they go. And it is El Mutwakil who gets to the hurdle first, the first hurdle, in lane 6, off to a very, very quick start. She's already taken care of Sandra Farmer, who was running outside of her, and O'Vril Dwyer Brown. El Mutwakil setting a very, very fast pace, and out in front in lane 6. Barksdale and Bradley both with some ground to make up as they head around the final turn. From Cal State Los Angeles, Sandra Farmer in a decent position at the moment, but El Mutwakil with Barksdale now in 2nd place, and Bradley is 3rd, but this is going to be a very, very impressive victory, a much greater victory, as Barksdale has trouble in lane 4. Barksdale knocking down a hurdle. That slowed her momentum, and in fact she will finish well back in the pack, and the Cal State LA runner
Duplicate his teammates win, Mutwakil in the 400-meter intermediates.
Hawkins had the best time in the heats, 49.64. They run in lanes all the way around, 400-meter hurdles. The men to watch again, Harris in lane 4, Hawkins in lane 5. And it's John Thomas of Indiana who takes the lead in lane 6 with Tronell Hawkins, and Leander McKenzie of Florida State also right there. Now Hawkins is out in front from Angelo State. Danny Harris has moved up to 2nd. Hawkins in the blue, white, and yellow uniform around the final turn. has the lead right now. It's Cornell Hawkins in front with Danny Harris now moving up on him, and Danny Harris has overtaken him. Danny Harris takes the lead over the last hurdle, and Danny Harris overtakes him. Lane 7. Franks in lane 1. Also, Rod Barksdale of Arizona might get your attention out of lane 3. Baptiste, under the tutelage of Tom Tellez of Houston, also, of course, the coach for Carl Lewis in college, and they go. They're off in the 200-meter final, and it is Witherspoon of Abilene Christian with Baptiste just inside him. Also Don Bly of Oklahoma. This is going to be a very tight finish on the outside. Reed of Florida, and it is Baptiste in lane 6 who begins to pull away now, and Kirk Baptiste is the winner. Just inside him, I think Albert Robinson of Indiana may have come up to get second place, but Kirk Baptiste of Houston, the favorite of Oklahoma, took third. Is held in this meet for the first time ever, and Terry Turner, the sophomore from the University of Texas, with a mark here of 44 4 1/4 minutes. And then Mike Conley was expected to win the long jump, and that indeed turned out to be the case, as the man from Arkansas went 27 feet 1/4 inch. He was also the indoor NCAA champ in the long jump and triple jump as well. Mike Conley of Arkansas.
Brown of the United States, Rita Koch of East Germany. Women's 4x100.
Alice is out with a very quick start, but Marita is pulling away.
At the exchange, East Germans have the lead. They do not make that good an exchange, though, as Diane Williams closes on Bearable Volkov.
Exchange on third. Excellent.
United States leading at the exchange. Chandra Keysborough against Del Kagatis. Coming to the anchor. Evelyn Ashburn.
Evelyn is done. We have a win.
Evelyn Ashburn, United States, anchoring the victory. Leading off for East Germany is Thomas Schrader. For the United States, Emmett King. And King is out very quickly. King and Schrader at the exchange. Whoa! At the exchange. Stephen Brinkman running second against Mark McNeil. Brinkman of East Germany.
Number 261.
East Germany still an edge at the exchange. Olaf Prinsler and Willie Goff. At the anchor, Immelmann of East Germany. Here comes Carl Lewis. Can he catch him? Closing on it. Here comes Carl Lewis. Terrible exchanges, but blinding speed for the United States.
Here is a very good example of how raw talent won out over good stick passing, because Emmett King, if you watch him on the outside, runs up to Mark McNeil, and they almost run out of the zone. Stefan Brinkman makes up a lot of distance, not so much on speed, but he had the momentum coming out on the pass. The third, Willie Galt, running very well on the turn after taking the baton with not as much speed. Carl Lewis, they even lose distance here on the exchange. Carl's got at least 3 meters to make up. About 60 yards into it, he turns it into overdrive right there. And Immelmann never knew what hit him. Immelmann started to lean about 10 yards out from the tape.
This is the jump. Dwight Stones is about to go at 7.6. This is his third and final attempt. Let's go to Dwight.
This is it. Stones just missing. As we come back to our live coverage, what you saw just a moment ago was tape coverage, and so action continues everywhere in the Coliseum.
One of the great competitors. Every time we come to a meet, he's always going to be very competitive. Great extension as he came down, winning the triple jump at 55.2. Al Joyner of the United States with a jump of 54 feet 8 inches was second. So the Americans swept the triple jump 1-2.
And Willie Banks is in the lead right now with a jump of 56 feet 1/2 inch on his first attempt. This is Mike Conley. This is his third attempt.
Now, you can see Mike Conley physically practicing the technique that he wants to employ on this jump. It's a real emotional jumper, uses a lot of speed on the runway. Let's see how he does on this one.